Okay, Madam Chair, whenever you're ready.
You're ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the Tuesday, January 18th, 2022 Virtual Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting at 5:46 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Moiseo,
I'm here.
Alderman Hayes,
Here.
Alderman Florian,
Here.
Alderman Rivera,
Present.
and Alderman Newsome.
Present.
Chair
Item-
Newsom, if I could, I just need to make a brief statement about our ability to hold this meeting virtually.
Sure.
Tonight's meeting of the Purchasing and Finance Committee is being held virtually via the Zoom video teleconferencing platform in consideration of the resurgent COVID-19 pandemic emergency, Governor Pritzker's ongoing disaster proclamation, and pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act. Mayor Taylor has determined that in-person meetings of the City Council and its committees with a quorum physically present are not practical or prudent at this time. This determination will remain in place until further notice or until the termination of the governor's disaster proclamation without replacement, whichever occurs first. Chairman Newsom, thank you very much.
Thank you. Item C, approval of the minutes. I'll take a motion for approval of the minutes from December 20th, 2021. Motion by Alderman Florian. Second by Alderman Hayes. Roll call.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item D, public comment. Is there anyone in the public that has a question regarding anything that is on the Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting at this time? Do we have-
Chairman Newsom, we have no one present in the council chambers. Members of the public were also invited to submit written comments. Deputy Chair Patterson, are there any written comments that were submitted for this particular committee meeting?
There were no written comments submitted, sir, for this.
Okay. And also, members of the public have an opportunity to call in. Have any members of the public called in to submit written comment for this meeting?
Nobody's called in, but you want me to share the number?
Yes, okay, so no one has called in for this meeting, but we are going to share the number for the next two council meetings as well, for the next committee meeting and then the council meeting. The number to call in to be put in a queue to provide public comment at either the next committee meeting, which is Public Works, or the city council meeting will be 847-856-6412. Once again, that's 847-856-6412. Chairman Newsom, back to you.
All right, thank you, sir. New business, item A, motion to authorize the proper city officials to purchase 100 desktop solutions with a 3-year maintenance contract from HPI International, 1040 East 17th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11230, in the amount not to exceed $84,513. Due to the COVID unforeseen budgetary constraints, limited PC replacements last year, fiscal year, they were not able to do it. The fiscal year 100 desktop workstations are for the emergency 911, police department, public works, water plant, fire department, building department, and city hall are due for replacement. These units are over 8 years old, and due to advancement of today's software technology and resource requirements, these units no longer meet the standard for today's technology. And I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman.
I'll second it.
Rivera. Are there any questions to this motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alderman Florian has her hand up.
Alderman Florian?
Alderman Rivera can go first. It's fine.
Alderman
I'm sorry,
Rivera?
the only comment or concern that I had was that we were going for the lowest bidder on equipment that's so important. But I'm assuming that all the proposals were like for like as far as it goes for what is it, operating systems and memory and so forth. So if this is the lowest bid based on our requirements, I'm good to go with that.
I think it's my understanding that according to our ordinances that we have in place, that we are to go with the lowest qualified bidder. Am I mistaken by that, Corporation Counsel?
No, under competitive bidding rules, unless they are waived, you go with the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. In this case, the purchase was competitively bid, and the low bidder has been indicated for approval. I believe that IT Director Eric Vela is available to answer any questions that you may have about this purchase.
Are there any more questions, Alderman Florian?
Yes. So I wanted to reiterate what Alderman Rivera said and also add to it that, the maintenance on this stuff, the price can be higher for that kind of stuff. For instance, you buy a printer at a cheap price, but the ink costs you twice as much as it would in another machine. So in the long run, you're better off buying a little more expensive machine because the maintenance or the upkeep isn't as bad. So I'm just curious about how that was considered in this bid. And then I'm also curious, I know oftentimes when we do things like this, we have access to like some kind of government pricing or contracting or whatever. And was that, looked into for these particular computers?
Mr. Eric Vela?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. To answer that question, yes, we put it out by the website as well as other various venues. Whoever responded back. I know CDW, I think, was thinking about it, and they do have the state contract, so I'm not sure why they did not put in a bid for it. But usually what I do is I put it out to everybody, including the state contractor, because the state contractor is not always the lowest bidder.
Okay. And what about the maintenance part of it?
Maintenance is 3 years, and then their HP equipment, it's either 3 years or 5 years.
And was that like consistent with the other bids?
Yes, they're all the same.
And so it's everything's covered for the first 3 years is what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's correct. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Eric, just a quick question. Now that you're on, as far as like I was indicating earlier, when we put this bid out, we say, this is the type of equipment we want. So it's pretty much like for like, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
It's the same make and model, no matter where you purchase this from.
Okay.
I have a question.
Alderman Hayes?
Thank you, Chairwoman. So it's 100 desktop solutions. Perhaps I'm missing it, but what exactly is a desktop solution as opposed to just a desktop computer?
It's basically an all-in-one system. So it's just like you normally would purchase a PC that comes with a monitor. This is just an all-in-one solution. So it's basically just one large monitor that has all the internal components of the computer itself.
Oh, and I guess just from a wording standpoint, so it's solution, so it's everything is in the monitor. We have keyboards, we have a mouse comes with it, like
Correct.
Entire package.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and this is going to sound like I'm nitpicking, but it doesn't say new on here. These are new systems, right?
That is correct.
They're not refurbished.
No.
Okay. I just noticed that HPI does sells a lot of refurbished material, so I just want to make sure that's not what we're getting.
And I also would like to add, after speaking with Mr. Eric today, only due to COVID last year and the budgetary restraints, we didn't go out to replace any new ones. This is something that we do every year, that we try to replace the oldest desktops in the city. So we didn't get an opportunity to go out last year. So we're going out this year. Usually we don't purchase this many at one time. Usually it's about 60 or 70, but because we didn't go out last year, we're replacing a few more this year.
That's helpful. Thank you. For my own edification, how many computers does the city have issued at any given time?
Roughly, we have about, ballpark figure, roughly between 500, about 500 systems, but that's just desktop systems, not including laptops.
Okay, so we're replacing about 20% of them here, huh?
Correct. Yeah, we usually try to replace anywhere 25 and 30% of them. Again, due to COVID, last year we were under a little budgetary constraints. So we have to go back this year and replace the ones that we were supposed to replace last year.
Do we donate these old systems or are they just,
Usually we end up scrapping them. We take the hard drives out and destroy them, send them out to a company to be purged and scrapped.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item B, motion to authorize the proper city officials to make a formal application for the Rebuild Downtowns on Main Street Capital Grant. The execution of any grant agreement or any governmental agreement must return to City Council for further authorization and approval. And this is from our engineering department, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Jesus is going out for a grant to rebuild downtowns and Main Streets Capital Grant. It is a program that will provide grants of up to $3 million to support improvements and encourage investments in commercial corridors and downtowns that have experienced this investment, particularly in communities hardest hit by the COVID-19 public health and economic crisis. I'd like to say you put together, Mr. Jesus, a very nice packet to present. I wanted to tell you that. Can I get a motion before any questions on this motion? Motion by Alderman Rivera, second by
Second, Alderman Hayes.
Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to the motion? He's also outlined in the strategic alignment on what we plan to do with those grant monies. Will provide funding to support economic recovery in the city of Waukegan's commercial downtown corridor along Genesee Street. From Julian Street to Washington Street includes infrastructure improvements to street right-of-way, sidewalk improvements, lead line services, removal, fiber conduit installation, revitalization of the Jack Benny Plaza, and so on and so forth. So I'd just like to say again, you put together a really nice packet, and hopefully we'll get upwards to that 3 million grant. Are
Thank
there any
you.
more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item C, motion to ratify the prior execution of a lobbying service agreement between the City of Waukegan and Cornerstone Government Affairs Incorporated, dated December 30th, 2020, for its full 2-year term, ending December 31st, 2022. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Alderman Moiseo, second.
Alderman Hayes.
Alderman Hayes. Are there
Chairman, this is
questions?
Mayor Taylor. The Cornerstone is available, and if you look under your executive portion of your agenda, you will see more details on what they're working on.
I did receive that.
Yeah. But I believe they are also available by phone if anybody has any questions. They should be online now.
Hi, Mayor and
Julia?
council members. Julia Larkin from Cornerstone Government Affairs is on for any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Alderman Florian?
Thank you, Chair. Julia, I read through the document that we were sent, and while I'm impressed by what you guys are working on, I'm a little concerned that every time I've been told any information about what you guys are doing, it's always told to be confidential. And the residents of Waukegan are who are paying for these services. And I'm just curious why so much of what you do has to be kept confidential, and why we can't. It's a lot of money we spend on these services. And I'm someone who really advocates for transparency, and I'm curious why everything has to be kept so confidential.
Alderman Florian, I can speak to that a little bit. And then maybe the folks from Cornerstone can. You know, when lobbying in Springfield is occurring, you know, we're working to, you know, basically get the best possible outcome for the city in a very uncertain legislative, kind of culture. And so while the negotiations down in Springfield on any particular bill are going on, you know, we want to know that our discussions with various stakeholders, that we're not necessarily tipping our hand to certain things. In the end, the public result is that hopefully the agenda items that we support in Springfield and the public policy that we're advocating for does get realized into law. And I think Ms. Larkin, if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Yes, thank you. To Stu's point, we are very involved in passing legislation, particularly in regard to the energy site and cleaning up the coal ash. Those conversations are a lot of times best kept within our team and your team as well, with the city council, as the strategy and implementing it as something we don't always want. For example, people who may oppose that bill to know ahead of time. But I know for us, we're always happy to participate in public meetings and share what we're doing with the residents of Waukegan. And there's certainly no intent on our end to not be forthcoming with the many things that we're working on, the successes we've had, and the items that we're still pushing at the state, local, and federal level.
Okay, I understand. I understand all that, but what about the stuff that's already happened? Like, why can't we say, okay, these are the things that we've paid for and have accomplished, and that's why we continue to work forward, you know, with your company?
And I would need to confer with Stu, but we're very happy to create a document that could be public facing, maybe something probably a good deal more concise than the memo that we put together for you guys, that would maybe a record of accomplishments, things you can share with your residents. We're happy to work with the mayor and her team on putting that together for you.
Okay, thank you.
And you can also always ask either through us or through Cornerstone, if they're available, for specific questions that you guys have that you want answered.
Alderman Rivera?
Thank you. My concern, as indicated by Alderman Florian, is the lack of communication we're able to share. And totally understood, you know, you're working on very important things, but towards the end there, you indicated that you'd be able to give us some things that possibly in the past have been accomplished, where if we're pretty clear of that, we can successfully share those, because again, stories. And when you do have something that is on the books, you'd like to see what kind of return you're getting for it. And I just had one other concern, and I think this is probably for Stu. Regarding the document itself, I'm a little confused here because it indicates that we had previously approved this just for I guess 12 months, but then it was approved for 24 months. Is that correct? Or
Yeah. Yeah, so this is an unusual situation that Cornerstone actually brought to our attention. The motion that was brought before you back in December of 2020, the motion and all the backup documentation indicated that their contract would only be for 1 year. The contract that was signed by the prior mayor was a 24-month contract. Cornerstone, although they are being very accommodating, they can't work without a contract, and they have a question as to whether we have the authority to proceed. And so I don't know why there is a disparity between the motion that was presented and what was signed. It could have been a simple error. But in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, we're coming back to you to ask if you will ratify basically the prior mayor's signature of a 2-year contract.
okay, that kind of makes sense, Stu. Thank you very much.
This is not the first time that we've had this come up recently, like where the contract city council approved was not the contract that was actually signed. And I'm curious, I mean, I don't remember this happening, when I first got elected. That I'm just confused why this keeps happening. What was the problem with the process previously between city council voting on something and then the mayor signing the document? What happens between those two events?
Alderman Florian, as you know, this occurred before my firm was corporation counsel.
Right.
The
I'm not
current mayor.
saying you
Right.
did anything wrong. I'm just, even though I've been an alderman for 2 years, I don't know, once we approve something, what happens next?
Right. So what we will usually do now is that we will take the contract that was approved and we will, it appears that somebody still is unmuted, or still, I'm hearing some feedback. So the process is that after approval, the contract, we work with the department head who brought the contract, whether it be through finance, public works, or some other department. We make sure that it's conformed correctly with any changes or modifications that were required by the city council. It is then delivered to the other party to sign. Once we get it back, then the mayor signs it, then a copy goes to the clerk. One of the things that we are working towards is to make sure that final versions of contracts are actually included in your packet, so you can see them, and that disparities like this don't occur again.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman
Any
Florian,
other-
Alderman Florian, we are doing our best here to make sure that things like that don't happen. But again, this was not under this administration, so I can't tell you why it happened the way that it did.
Well, I understand that, and it's just frustrating to me because this is what, the 3rd or 4th time this has happened recently, that it's come up that the contract wasn't what we agreed to. So, but thank you for that explanation.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Roll call,
This is
please.
Alderman Bolton. I have a, just alluding back, thank you. Reflecting on what Alderman Florin had asked, I'm going to ask, would they just clarify again why we are not giving full disclosure? Again, that explanation wasn't very clear to me. So if you could elaborate just a little bit more on that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Because we
Sure.
currently are going through different legislative processes and working with the team. And so what happens downstate, we want to keep downstate until such time as it's passed. And generally, when it comes to you, you've already seen it in legislation that we passed, but we can document for you some of the things that they've worked on. Like I said, I've only been working with them for 8 months. So we'd have to go back and look at some of the former things, but basically whatever we're working on with our lobbyists stays with our lobbyists until such time as it is ready to become legislation. Does that make sense?
That makes a little bit better sense. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we have a roll call, please? Item C.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Number 3, reports and communications. We're gonna have our presentation at this time.
There's item D.
I have, item D. I have reports and communications for a finance presentation. You want to do your presentation before we go into your, other reports? Or do you want to do your reports first and then do your presentation for finance?
Either way, whichever. Is there any questions on the reports?
Does anyone? Okay, there are a few questions on our reports. Why don't we go through the reports right quick? We'll start with the water consumption and then go through.
Okay. So for the water consumption, it's down a bit from last month, approximately 15,000 gallons. We had 17 total business licenses, 7 were approved, 7 are pending, and 3 are submitted. We had 25 total approved rental licenses.
Do you want us to save our questions to the end?
Oh, you can ask if it pertains to one I'm on.
Okay, there was a misspelling in the business one, the physical therapy place. I can't remember. I didn't put it in front of me. I apologize,
Oh,
but
I found it.
okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's see. The stabilization fund report is doing well. It's about $799 higher than last month.
I have a question about that too. Sorry. I was looking at that and the amount of interest we get on that is very low. And I realize that not all of that money is necessarily cash in the bank, but shouldn't we be getting a higher rate of return on $8 million than what is shown on that report? Like how much of that is actually invested, I guess is a question I would ask.
I can follow up. This is a report that comes from the treasurer's office. So I
Okay.
can reach out to Dr. Schwab and ask him.
Okay, thank you.
No new special events, although we are taking applications for this year. And then we have the video gaming report. Food and beverage is doing well. There's a slight increase over last month. The
Hey,
hotel,
Sherry,
yes,
and I'm sorry, Lynn, if I'm gonna ask this,
No,
Um, but we were discussing, you know, the gaps in some of the payments for some of the establishments for the food and beverage. I mean, are we addressing, these delinquencies?
Yes, they do receive a letter.
Okay, and after they receive the letter and let's say they don't comply, are we moving forward with doing something with their, like revoking business licenses and so forth?
So that is something that we have discussed with the mayor.
That
We're-
is something that is under the water amnesty that we've been talking about. So we have not disconnected people's water in 2 years. And it
I'm sorry.
progressively,
This was the food and beverage, not the,
okay,
yeah, it was the, I mean, I understand that we're doing the amnesty for the water bill.
right.
But my concern is that, the food and beverage collection,
Oh,
is, and the food and beverage and hotel tax reports, they don't accurately reflect a consistent collection. So my concern is that, these are monies that are being collected, but they're not turning around and being given to us.
Right, and we are working on some kind of collection process to where we can go after these businesses.
Okay, do our current ordinances, indicate that, any delinquencies like this, will result in, revocation of a business license that we know of?
Not certain.
Not certain,
I
okay.
can check and get back with you.
Okay, because again, it seems like, again, these are monies that have already been collected. They just haven't made it home yet.
Right.
Okay. All right, that was my only comment.
I have a question about that as well, if you don't mind. Can we see a copy of the letter that's going out to these individuals?
Folks, I want to point out we're 2 minutes over time.
And we're thousands of dollars in the hole from businesses that aren't paying their license. So there's a lot of gaps on here. It's alarming. I'm with Alderman Rivera. So I'd like to see some more teeth behind that. And I don't know if it's an amendment to the ordinance or if it's just to, increase enforceability, send somebody out, shut them down, revoke the business license, post something on the door. But we have more muscle behind us than just sending just a letter. So.
Oh, Alderman Hayes, what we've been working on is we've been addressing water bills. We've been addressing these audits that were done but not completed as part of the avenue that we had a company that we were working with, and then things just kind of stagnated during COVID. We are going back and addressing all of these things, but as you can see, there's a lot of areas of income loss that we have here, and that's why we're being pretty aggressive about things. Whether it be anything, like I said, from water bills to collection of taxes. And that's something that we're working with legal counsel and getting some of these issues done. But there's a number of ways that we have lost income, and with an $8.5 million deficit this year, we can't afford to keep losing income like this. So we will be going after these.
Sure. I know you're doing a heck of a job on that. I just wanted to kind of highlight point and just say, this is the reason that we had to go out and hire an audit firm in the first place, is because some of these businesses, they were too far gone or they weren't submitting their records. And that's what it seems like. I wasn't there for it, but caused us to have to go that route in the first place. And now it's costing us even more money because we have to pay their fees. So I just think staying on top of this is the best way to do it, and creating a file for each business of compliance or non-compliance. And just, like I said before, throwing some muscle behind it is the best way to get them to comply.
And putting some teeth in our ordinance.
Yes. And following up on it.
Do you want me to keep going or just jump into the PowerPoint since we're over our time?
Go into your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, Alderman Newsom, just as a note, we can continue the PowerPoint, but an item D was added to the agenda, which was a motion to approve a resolution authorizing amnesty for late fees for water service. That was added on Friday. So, and we went past that, and I had my camera and my headphones off, so I apologize. As long as we
I
come
didn't-
back to that.
Can we do that now? Because I didn't have that on my agenda. Sorry.
That's okay. If you'd like to do that, or if you'd like to do it, after Sherry is done with her presentation, that's fine.
We can do it. We can do it now.
Okay. So Alderman Newsom, if you don't have it in front of you, I can read off the item if you'd like.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, so this is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing amnesty for late fees for water service. If you'd like some description of that, or if you'd like to make a motion, you can.
I'll take a motion by Alderman
Is
Hayes.
I'll
second by
second it.
Alderman Rivera. And I wish I had that on my agenda. Could you do that motion again, Mr. Weiss?
Yes, a motion to approve resolution authorizing amnesty for late fees for water service.
I'd just like to clarify that this is just the late fees we're giving amnesty on, not the actual water bill, correct?
Correct. And it is not for everybody. It is for people who are already in the disconnect list.
Okay.
So we are not sending this out to the public. The public, we will send letters to those people that it specifically affects.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Hayes,
Alderman Hayes?
aye. Can you not hear me?
Can hear you
Alderman
now.
Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you. Your presentation now, Ms. Sherry.
Okay, good evening. Tonight, I'll give you a brief overview of the finance department. I'll discuss our organizational chart, functions of the department, accomplishments and challenges so far this fiscal year, goals for our department, and our budget request for next fiscal year. On this slide, you'll see the organizational structure of the department. Each major function is overseen by a staff accountant. During COVID, we learned that it was imperative that we implement cross-training. A great example of this would be Sean. He first started out downstairs in water billing, and then he became versed upstairs in accounts payable. But also during the pandemic, he was able to assist in utility billing, accounts payable, and even learned payroll, all while remote. So cross-training allowed the department to continue the day-to-day functions without ever missing a beat. This next slide shows a list of functions the finance department handles. On the first floor as well, you'll find revenue collection, special assessments, and water billing. On the second floor is where you'll find the disbursement control, grant management, budgeting, and annual reporting. Our accomplishments. So slide 4 covers our accomplishments and challenges faced so far this year. I'd like to point out one accomplishment that is new to the city, and that is the 4th accomplishment on this list. We submitted our first popular annual financial report to GFOA. This document conveys the financial results of the city's operations to the general public that do not necessarily have a background in public finance. It's also designed to be readily accessible and easily understandable. The challenges we faced, as I'm sure you know, is getting a budget together within 90 days. And then I just wanted to clarify what the unqualified opinion meant. And that means that the financial statements are fairly and appropriately presented without any identified exceptions, and it's in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles.
Where are my babies?
Oops. To sum up our goals, we plan to help sustain the city of Waukegan's mission statement, administrative goals and objectives, and work toward economic stability. We will encourage fiscal responsibility and the fair treatment of all departments. Our budget requests for fiscal year 2023, the training and development of staff, and to continue the city's and finance department's relationship with its professional auditors, actuaries, and financial advisors. We're requesting funding for the training and development. It's vital to enhance employee performance, boost employee productivity, reduce turnover, and improve company culture. We'd like to ensure our staff stays up to date with current changes in accounting standards and generally accepted accounting principles. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Sherry. All right, I will entertain a motion. There's no more questions. I'll entertain a motion to
I'll motion.
adjourn.
Second,
Motion by Alderman Rivera, second by Alderman Florian to adjourn at 6:27. Can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned.